Hello, everyone. My name is Oscar Garcia, and this is my presentation on the Maryland Private Agriculture Leasing bill that was passed in 2009. So the context for this bill was that it was trying to take advantage of Maryland's landscapes and resources, as well as preserving its natural resources like shellfish, which are an important one, as well as growing investment and expanding privatization when it came to like the shellfish industry. So for the policy formulation for this bill was that it wanted to take advantage of agriculture in order to create growth in the industry as well as stimulate the economies of those places that rely on agriculture. So this was the Maryland Agriculture Shellfish Leasing Act, and it got a lot of support from the Maryland General Assembly. It had 133 votes in favor and zero against, 44 votes in favor and zero against in the Senate. So it was very popular and it was signed quickly by the governor at the time. Although there was still a lot of public outcry from watermen about this bill. But again, on the other side, there was a lot of support from investors as well. So for the policy adoption, so this bill aimed to, expand privatization of agriculture and streamline the application process because at the time, it was still very like convoluted and not a lot of applicants could like actually go through the process. Took a lot of resources and time. And it aimed at having more leases approved as well as providing some financial support and business training programs for applicants. So for the literary review, I was able to find out that, over time, Maryland has lagged behind when it comes to the aquaculture private sector compared to other states nearby, like Virginia, where the process has always been very streamlined and more lenient. As well as finding out that a lot of watermen and residents have opposed this bill and these efforts because they feel like it disrupts their way of life or communities as well as that there has been a lot of risk in oyster production since it's a time-consuming process and it needs a lot of financial support and other resources as well. And that there, even after this bill, there's still a lot of barriers to entry. So for the implementation, there's a lot of resources that go into this industry like growing and harvesting oysters. So a lot of loans were giving out to applicants. The total was 2.2 million allocated loans. Um, and that's not a lot compared to like the 10 million given for oyster restoration. So this puts into perspective kind of the disparity in the program. As well as has there been political action taken against private aquaculture, again from like watermen mostly, but also like local residents as well. And it's still an application process that takes a lot of time. And also how during the application process, like if anybody brings up a complaint for like certain an applications that's trying to be passed, those complaints do have to be heard, and a lot of times they will halt the process or even like reject it. So it's still not an easy process to go through for applicants. So for the evaluation, um, I would say that it did create a startup for a healthy agriculture industry. And it did aim at protecting shellfish populations and ecosystems, which it has done to a degree, but uh, not as much as other conservation efforts when it comes to protecting shellfish. It as well as growing the economies of the Chesapeake Bay area, and it did meet the goal of supporting 100 different businesses. It did not meet the goal of 25 million industry value, but it came close to it, uh, to 18 million, and this was around like 10 years after almost this was implemented. but there still remains a lot of potential future growth, as well as if it given more time and investment for it to grow. So I think overall this bill did a good job at kickstarting the aquaculture industry and providing interest for investors to invest in Maryland's private aquaculture. There still exists a lot of barriers to entry in the application process. You know, not everybody can afford uh, supporting this industry, and it is a risky business because it does take a lot of time for oysters to grow and develop. So a lot of times investors are not seeing a profit right away. And there's a lot of things that can go wrong in the meantime. So uh, I think it could do a lot more in expanding these investment and support methods for applicants, as well as there does need to be given more time for this um, project to grow, and also implementing other states like Virginia, where the process has always been more streamlined, and it has supported local economies, and there still exists room for growth. So I think overall, this was a pretty successful uh, program to start with. Thank you so much for joining to my presentation, and have a good one.
Woo! All right, we are almost perfectly on time. That's amazing. Sally's going to give the microphone to Chris Spencer, I think.
I'm first going to address the one in the chat. So Betsy Harrison asks, are watermen opposed because they feel that as individual entrepreneurs, they cannot compete with corporations that are farming rather than fishing? Also, investors don't generally give money to small business fishermen, right?
So yeah, that was the big issue that I found, was that not only does it have to do with like competition, but also like with the land use that is kind of allocated for these private aquaculture. Um, you know, it's like fishermen are not able to get there when it comes to that. So that creates like this tension between them. And yeah, they feel like it's also kind of taking a lot of funding away from them overall. So
Thanks, Oscar. Chris indicated that she had the same question.
Oh,
Are there any other questions?
how funny. All right, well, thank you. Oh, sorry.
Hi, Oscar. As an environmental science major, I'd like to say that is an awesome topic you picked. And I was just going to say, you said other states like Virginia had streamlined their entry methods into the program. Was there any other thing that we could take away from them that we could implement here in Maryland?
um yeah, I think it just has to do more with like providing more access to better efforts um for like these as I said in my presentation, for like these the private aquaculture, there's like a disparity in the funding a lot of the times. So I think there's a in Virginia, this has been a thing for quite a while now. And like the legal language there is a lot more accessible. So I think we can learn a lot from Virginia in the sense that provide more access to people who are trying to get into this field and who are trying to advocate for more uh, conservation efforts.
All right, thank you so much again.